So I will now continue a little bit and expand a little bit what Katja has already said about advanced intensive courses at SMIR2. And I will give you a teacher perspective, as I was a teacher there for actually already 3 times. So in short, the advanced intensive course at SMIR2 is basically between 40 and 50 international students do research for 2 weeks at the station, and they are assisted by approximately 20, maybe sometimes more teachers and assistants. And while the course should be, of course, useful for students and should be rewarding for teachers, so the course should be constructively aligned. I know you discussed already a little bit on constructive alignment before, but I will shortly remind you what it is and also describe a little bit my perspective on the constructive alignment of this course, and then discuss in a bit more detail about the challenges and benefits of the course. So first, constructive alignment, basically it starts with intended learning outcomes. So meaning basically what we want student to learn from the course. And based on these intended learning outcomes, the teacher can choose appropriate teaching learning activities and assessment methods, because all of them should be balanced in order to get an interesting and a good course which will, from which students can really learn something. So now I will give you actually my personal perspective on what I think are intended learning outcomes of this course. So first of all, students can hypothesize during the course. In the very beginning of the course, they have an opportunity to hypothesize about something within their familiar topic, or they can explore a new topic of interest, which also happens quite often. So in this case, hypotheses can be suggested. Then they plan a research project in the groups. They are divided into the groups and they plan a research project. They analyze the data, they critically examine the results, and they also prove or reject the hypothesis from the first point. And then they also learn to present the results in a clear and concise manner. So they do presentations and they write reports, so both in oral and written forms. And then very important for all these points is actually to find connections between fields, ideas, and concepts. And this is what students can do, because the course is so multidisciplinary and also international. So if we go now to teach and learning activities that are aligned with this intended learning outcome. So first, what it is started from is flipped classroom, actually. So we first of all suggest some reading before the course, because the students, it's kind of reduces also the level of stress, and when students have some idea of what's going to happen. So we typically suggest a couple or 3 of different papers on different topics, kind of giving an introduction to the course itself. And already after that, we can meet with students face-to-face during the lectures and during the first meetings when the group work starts. And based on what they know, based on these also papers, we kind of try to figure out what the projects we will do with the students, the projects they suggest. The next teach and learning activity, also Katja mentioned it, so we have several lectures, not so many, so lectures are there, and also excursion in the very beginning of the course, so that the data do not really look abstract to students. The central activity to all learning outcomes is actually group work. So there's a lot of group work in this course. So, and each group works on its own project. Typically the group consists of 3-4 students. So they plan their project, they discuss the results, they make a presentation, and there is an assistant for each group typically. And the teacher also often comes to see what's going on in each group. Another activity is presentation. So we have 3 presentations during the course. The first presentation is basically to discuss the plans. So when students present the project which they have chosen for the group, maybe some introductory results already. Then we have a midterm presentation where the students present their midterm results on the project, and final presentation. So another activity is writing report. So it follows standards of scientific writing. So there's introduction, materials and methods, results and discussion, and conclusion. As for assessment, we have 2 types of assessment in the course. So there's formative assessment, which basically helps students to learn and improve during the course, and summative assessment, so which we use as a base for grade. So formative assessment is basically It's better to explain on an example. So when teaching assistant or teachers give feedback, for example, during the group work or after presentation, students themselves and teachers and teaching assistants, so we all give the feedback to the presentations of other students, other groups. And also, for example, when students write a report, so after some time they send them again their reports to teaching assistant, which was mainly working with the group, and also teaching assistant gives first the comments to the report. So basically after that they can take it into account and improve their report so that they also can get a high grade for that. So we think that especially formative assessment is quite important for this course. Well, summative assessment, there are grades based on the report. So a little bit now more into detail of this course, how it looks like. So here I just copied the timetable from one course. So you can see here the daily schedule, and you can see that basically activities and work goes from 8 to 8, from 8 in the morning to 8 in the evening. So quite a long time. So you can see also there's a lot of group work. And there are lectures, but those lectures, as Katja also mentioned, they are very short. Typically, they are all in the beginning, or some maybe also in the middle. So the course represents 2 weeks of intensive group work, plus there is 1 month for report. It is written after the course. But as Katja also said, one shouldn't forget about recreation. We have typically Sunday break for excursion. We have table tennis tournaments. We have sport breaks. Now it's 30 minutes every day. Previously it was a little bit less. Now it's more. And we have also saunas in the evenings. To give a little bit an idea on the projects that we have, so they are typically multidisciplinary. So one example is, for example, frontal passages and their effect on BVOC, biogenic volatile organic compounds, and methane emissions. So again, to give an example, to give an idea of what we use there. So the data we use, for example, area interim reanalysis. So basically it's like a model data and reanalysis data. Then biological BVOC emissions, it's what forestry, forestry department gives us. Then air temperature and pressure, this is physics. Methane emissions from peatland, this is micrometeorology. Water table and soil temperature, this is hydrological parameters. So you really can see how many different parameters, how many different data we managed to embrace within one project. So this is a really multidisciplinary work. Then the second example, for example, effect of gas phase precursors on new particle formation and growth. So something which is our group the center itself, the university is very famous for, so new particle formation, aerosol things. So you can see also the data here. So there's a lot, both physics and chemistry of aerosol already. You can see physics and chemistry. And again, air mass trajectory analysis, meteorology. So a lot of multidisciplinary projects. As for challenges, yes, the course is very challenging, both for teachers and students, very intensive, very challenging. So to name a few, so what kind of challenges we can get? So students can suggest projects which are really out of curriculum for assistants and teachers. So there can be needs to change approaches during the course. So for example, they do one thing, so it was one approach, but then it doesn't work or shows something strange, and then we need to change immediately on the run. So the teacher or the teaching assistant and the students, they kind of think all the time what they do. There can be needs for additional lectures. So sometimes students say, okay, we don't understand this topic and we are not from this topic, so please provide additional lecture on this. So this also happened. So group works requires active collaboration. And since we really spend a lot of time together, it's very important to have a nice atmosphere during the course. So a nice and friendly atmosphere. So and then also the last challenge I named is that report is actually written after the course and when students and teachers are already back to their own project, and it's a little bit challenging to get back to our to previous work and to make the report like this work kind of finalize the work in the proper way. Okay, but how it can be rewarding? So I feel it rewarding because, for example, students go beyond their comfort zone, which is so much needed now in our working life. So many take topics they never did. And I just cite several students so here. So one student told me, as I told to one student, so you know that this is new, this topic is new and your project is new for teachers. And she says, no, I know it and I do not want to do anything else. I want to try this. And if this sounds reasonable, then we go for it. Also, another student, for example, told us that I have been working in theoretical physics all the time and never thought I can apply my knowledge so far from a usual topic. This sounds really interesting and rewarding for teachers. So some students come for teachers. So there was, for example, one student from the US told us, where else could I work with a world-known expert on this topic for 2 weeks? So he was just sitting to him and teaching him how to do things. Students also learn from each other a lot and make new contacts. And also personally, as a teacher, I experience flow state a lot in research. So for example, I have planned a new manuscript in 2019 course, which is now under review. And I should say that this course is actually not even related to the topics. This manuscript is not even related to the topics of the course, but it's like the way you think. So you are so much in this research that you can really kind of work effectively also for your own things. So, and now we come to conclusion. So first of all, I should say that the intensive courses at MYR2 are challenging but rewarding. And students experience working groups outside the comfort zone, which is increasingly now becoming a common situation at work. And I should say that this is an interdisciplinary multinational scientific experience, which I really recommend to everyone. Thank you for attention. Hope I'm fine with time. Alexander?
Yes, thank you, Ekaterina. And we have one question from Elena Apekun.
Okay.
Elena, can you, yes, please stop sharing your screen. Yeah. Elena, can you address the question by yourself? Okay.
Okay, could I see? No, I don't see it also here. Okay.
Okay, Elena asked where it is possible to read about this concept of intensive courses.
The concept of intensive courses. So I think it's more to Katja. She has written now this paper. So in her presentation, there is actually a link to the paper she has written about intensive course, where she describes a structure, as I could see, quite interestingly. So that's mainly there.
Katja, can you comment?
If I may say, I just noticed that that the link that used to work is now, I mean, WMO that published this paper. They are now giving a course about this publication, and they have somehow hidden it in their model behind a kind of password and under a course. It used to be open still a week or two ago, but what I will do, I will post PDF here, and we can also post it on the MODEST website later on.
There are also questions Katja already asked, but there is one question from Galina. Can we organize one of project schools? I assume it's a MODEST for students in this format.
Yes.
I also think it's very possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially this horizontal learning is quite interesting approach. If you, it works actually very well for project schools and more generally to problem-based learning when you take real problems that you don't have a kind of model answer ready. It's very nice.
Okay, great. Thank you. Then we can move to the next presentation.